everybody. I hope you're doing great. I have a little treat for all of us. I had a request to channel Lord Hanuman of the Hindu faith. I never heard of Lord Hanuman, so I want to thank you for introducing me, giving me opportunity to meet a new consciousness in the universe and share an experience with everybody here on YouTube. So I did spend a little bit of time just getting a feel for his energy and some of the things that came to me about him just in my initial experience. I kept calling him a whisper on the wind because he always felt like very silent, very, you have to be very still. You have to be patient. There's a level of mastery in the mastery of stillness, the mastery of patience, the mastery of inner silence in order to truly receive his voice, because his voice is like a whisper on the wind, okay? So you have to really pay attention. And I don't know that that's all that he is. And perhaps that's part of the first message based upon my experience that we could all learn from is a desire to master something, a master a quality. We can spend a whole lifetime mastering patience, but never say, you know what, I want to take the time to really own up to this. My life requires patience, and I am going to be the most patient human being this world has ever seen. I'm going to find a way to be still and clear my mind, and I'm going to be a master at stillness, a master at inner silence, right? So we're faced with tasks that are asking us to be patient, that are asking us to separate from the sounds and go within, right? Meditation kind of thing. But do we take ownership that I'm really going to focus on this? I'm going to make this one of my passions. I'm going to be great at this. I'm going to be a teacher of this. There's different stepping stones to how we embrace life or how we just go through life, like consciously taking ownership of or just unconsciously just flowing through. So that was my first experience with him. And I found this interesting because I hadn't done any background, and I thought, you know, before I make this video, I'm going to get to know him a little bit, and then we'll see what Google has to say. And then I'm going to share an experience with all of you. So one of the details about him, it says, Hanuman is regarded to be the spiritual son of the wind god, Vayu. And he's a whisper on the wind, and he's the spiritual son of the wind god. I was like, oh, that's pretty interesting. So it says, who in several stories played a direct role in Hanuman's birth. So the wind god Vayu in several stories played a direct role in Hanuman's birth. Hanuman is considered to be a partial avatar of Shiva. Okay. Shall we get to know Lord Hanuman a little bit more deeply together? I feel like I'm going to have to slow down. And so I'm going to do that. I feel like we should all choose to be masters of slowing down. I'm the master of slowing down. Okay. We're all going to be masters of slowing down. Silence, stillness. Be able to listen and receive the whisper on the wind from Lord Hanuman. And let's see what he has to share with all of us today. We're all in for a treat. So I want to thank you for encouraging me to explore this guy, Lord Hanuman, and share it with all of you here. So thank you. All right, I'm going to close my eyes, get tuned in, and I'll start describing my experience, okay? Okay. Slowing my vibration down. Slowing my vibration down. I always like to tell people, when you want to slow down energetically, not just still your thoughts, but literally just still your pace, your vibrational pace. One of the things I do is I feel present in a race car, and I have my foot on the brake. And I slowly but surely slow the vehicle down to a dead stop, okay? And when you do this, if you're really tuned into the image and the sensation of moving really quickly, just tune in with your heart, and you slowly still the vehicle, you'll start to discover that all the vibrations that are within and around you become still. You'll be able to hear the spirit realm way better when you do this. Even for me, if I'm doing a client session, I'm really excited about it, which happens pretty often. I have to calm down because I have no clue what I'm being shown or being told until I can silence my own energy because it gets so loud. So we got to do this every now and then, is just still the vehicle of our bodies, our minds, our emotions. And Lord Hanuman is inspiring this for me, inspiring this for us, okay? Slowing down, stilling the sounds within us, around us. Okay, I'm present in this space, and there's just a very, very thin layer, and I can't even believe how thin this layer is. That's how smooth and perfectly level the ground is, that this layer could be so thin, and I can't tell between the water and the actual surface of the ground, and it's in a circular shape. So I'm sitting meditation style in a circular shape that has a very thin layer of water and then a solid sort of smooth ground, and the ground is gray. And it's dark everywhere, which is fine. It's just, in that darkness, it brings calm, it brings peace. I mean, there's a reason why we sleep at night. And in order to sleep, in order to rest, we need to silence all of the sounds. We need to silence our connection with the day, or silence our connection with our memories, silence our connection with our feelings. And so in the dark, it helps us to find a restful place to slow down, to wind down, and to be peaceful. And then we get to fall into a rest state where we get to heal our bodies when we're resting. And so this darkness reminds me of night when it is time to go to sleep. And so it's a peaceful darkness. So I tell Lord Hanuman I'm present, and I'm very curious to see what other wisdom he'd like to share. I felt these inspirations, want to share them with others here who are watching. I'm just going to wait for a moment here. He smiles. He sends a vibration of being proud of us. A vibration of being proud of us for making a conscious decision to do this, to have this experience. Okay, this is where it's going to get interesting. It's a complex image, which means it's a complex message. There's something of maybe a crystal ball. Maybe it's a smoky quartz. It has some black tourmaline in it because it's clear, and it's also got some gray that I can see through. It's like a smoky quartz effect, but there's also very clear patches, but there's also these like black bits in it, like black tourmaline is somehow all interconnected. This is quite large, like the size of a human, and it's a perfect sphere. It also seems to be cracked on one side, and so when I look at this big sphere right in front of me, and it is also touching this water, okay, just this big object appears. And so I'm looking at this, and I couldn't help but see it. I can't help but look at it. I can't help but analyze it and interpret it, okay? And I ask, can I touch this crystal ball? What's interesting is we're exploring the concept of asking for permission versus giving ourselves permission, okay? The reason why I asked Lord Hanuman for permission to touch it is because there's something inside myself that is choosing to respect his presence, his voice, his direction, and to not take ownership of necessarily what I want to do, but actually put it in the palm of his hand. So he's then a leader of myself, okay? Now, if I am a leader of myself, then I will touch it. And that will be the balance. That will be the next step. Would that be offensive? Would that actually be degrading of the experiencer, degrading of Lord Hanuman? And so he wants us to explore, when is it appropriate to ask permission or to give ourselves permission with anything in life, okay? It's an interesting conversation. I'm sure we could have some interesting sides on this, and that a lot of sides would be quite good, okay? So then what he does is, when I ask him for permission to touch this, he says, no, you cannot touch it. And what comes forward from inside of myself, what I represent, is somebody who asked for permission out of politeness, but really didn't really care what Lord Hanuman said. I just want to touch this thing. I just want to touch this thing. And there's no sensation that is a violation. If I were to touch this thing, it's not going to violate Lord Hanuman, violate this experience, violate myself, violate the universe. There's no violation here in me touching this. In fact, me giving myself permission to do something that I desire, something that I'm curious about, something that fills my soul with love and sets me free, is actually going to fulfill Lord Hanuman's heart as well as my own, as well as the heart of the universe. And so the joy that I'm experiencing from witnessing this, being curious about this, wanting to touch and explore this, sets me free. It brings me to life. Now, me asking permission to touch this and then not getting to hear what I wanted to hear, now what do? I have to honor that he said no. I have to honor that if I truly respect him, then I will honor that his wish is no. What he represents is control. Why did I decide that I needed his permission to touch this thing? Now, when he doesn't give me permission, I can't. It's like a contract, okay? I can't break that contract. Otherwise, I am desecrating my own soul to dishonor the exchange, to dishonor it. So now I have to sit here and accept that. Or I break the contract, I ask him for permission, and I don't like what I heard, so now I'm just going to do whatever I want. Well, that's not really honoring of the exchange. This is important. He really is saying this is important. This is very, very important that we understand when to ask permission or when to honor our own heart's guidance. When do we need Lord Hanuman's guidance? When can we honor our own guidance? This isn't just a spiritual thing. This is human stuff too. And if you make an agreement with somebody, to truly honor that agreement, you don't break that agreement. And you might not like what you hear. Be sure that be sure that it's appropriate, right? Do I actually need his permission? It keeps saying, no, I don't. Why did I ask for his permission? Because I felt like it was polite. Well, now I can't follow through with what would actually have brought light to my heart, light to his heart, light to the whole universe's heart. Now I've developed a contract that in order to respect him completely, which is what this is all about, I can't override his decision. He now is king. He now is leader. He now is master. I now am slave. Do you understand what I'm saying? You understand where I sit, where I am? And what is the difference between providing permission then to the master, the king, the emperor, to create the relationship between slave and emperor, right? Something of this kind, versus we're all free. We're all free. And how can we follow our own heart? And how do we know that we have the freedom to follow our own heart? There is a goodness to this. This isn't like I am taking something from someone's soul out of a malicious, twisted evil. This is like I'm a child and I want to pick the beautiful flowers that I see. And there's a beautiful innocence to it. And I want to share the flowers with those people that I love. And now there's this conflict here between should I pick the flowers or should I ask to be able to pick the flowers? And so how do we know what is the right thing to do? And sometimes we need to just follow our heart and then let whatever response happen. So we are recreating the beginning, okay? And this time, I don't ask him for permission. I just thank him for showing me something so interesting, and I touch it. I start to cry instantaneously. And I say, this is the world today. Some of it is a gray area, some of it's clear, and some of it is just these black chips in it, and it's broken on the side. It is still beautiful, though. It's still beautiful. I would totally buy this crystal ball because it is so interesting to look at, even with a crack in it. It's actually interesting. It's got complexity to it. I find it interesting. And this is representing the world, okay? And I cry about it. When it represents the world, I feel anguish. I feel pain in my heart. And the beauty of the crystal ball that now parallels the beauty of our earth and the feelings that overcome me, I feel a sense of ugliness to it, to be honest. And what was the perfect crystal ball for me, and when I feel the anguish and the hurt, it's very hard to be okay with it, you know? You ask me what I'm learning right now. I say that I'm okay to face what comes next. So I make a decision and then I face what comes after that decision. I'm not afraid to make a decision for myself and then learn what takes place after that decision might not be ideal. Now I have to sit with these painful earthbound emotions that make it very hard for me. And it makes it hard for me to, it's almost like, I don't regret. I have no regret. I have to keep moving forward. I took ownership of the choice to touch it. Now I'm taking ownership of what comes next. And what comes next is a lot of emotional pain, a lot of sorrow. It's like the sound of everybody's hidden secrets that would make anybody cry to hear it. We all have something going on in there that's hard. I can't make that go away. I can't make that go away for others. I can only be there for others. I can only be there for people on earth. That's all I can do. I instantly come back to myself and I say, I'm glad that I had a second chance, because I don't want to ask for your permission, Lord Hanuman. I don't need it. I can give myself permission and I can be okay with what comes next because I'm strong in myself. He says, what does it take to master being strong in yourself and to strong in your own decision making, strong in the ownership of the decisions that you're making, accepting of the outcome? I say, in all honesty, for me to answer this, something I've thought about or noticed about myself. I really value what people see. I really value people's observations, people's thoughts and opinions. I value it. I'm looking for ways always to expand and improve myself. And I found a few years ago, and I was talking to Archangel Metatron about this because he was showing me this too. He was saying, when are you going to just be yourself? When are you going to stop taking in all of this, 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 as though I wasn't good enough yet? Because when you're taking in the recommendations or the opinions as though everything that you are is not complete yet, because everything that everybody else is might have figured it out, and that you should honor what they've learned, but it's not allowing me to honor what I've learned, because I'll never be enough and I'll never be whole, because I'll never. And this is like this is like taking ownership that I'm good enough, okay? And that what I have painstakingly thought about for hours and 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 days and days and days and years and years and years and years of my life, silently observing, silently taking notes, remembering these notes, talking to God about everything day after day after day for years and years and years and years to become the person that I am, all the sessions that I've done, all the times I've talked and asked questions and everything. Then I'm still not enough, but I am enough. The reason why I allow that door to always be open is something inside myself desires a sense of community with people, a sense of allowing space for people, allowing us to learn from one another. But something about being human, it's important that you take ownership of what you know, what you literally have developed a mastery in. I've developed a mastery in analyzing this type of conversation here, connecting with a consciousness in any dimension, the most disturbing to the most beautiful, okay? And to share my personal, most authentic voice on this. And there's nothing purer than that, okay? Especially in a world full of fear and insecurity and judgment, and people that haven't taken the time that then seem to state that they know something. And should I then bow beneath their feet because they read an almighty book and now they know something more than I know, and they never gave me the credit where credit was due as to how I have developed an incredible spectrum of wisdom and awareness, because that wasn't received by them. That wasn't something that they cared about apparently at the time, you know? And so we have to find a way to stand strong on our own 2 feet and know who we are, and know when it's appropriate to take ownership of our own true voice without letting it be defiled by other people's voices. Because when we aren't our own true voice, then we're a bunch of hodgepodge of voices and people's ideas and our own insecurities and what's coming out of that human body, you know? So I'm taking ownership of myself. So what's interesting is it seems to be the stepping stone is the mastery of oneself. Isn't just a mastery of silence and stillness, and it's the mastery of oneself. It's the mastery of being human. And what is the mastery of being human? What is this guy's name? Lord Hanuman? You know, why? It's like, it's official. Lord Hanuman, human. There's a connection there. All right. I like this guy. I like his message. One thing it reminds me of, I'm going to tell you guys this. In the energy world, there's no such thing as permission. Okay, the human wants to believe there's a thing of permission in order to feel safe and secure. And what is that? What is it to be safe and secure? It's an idea, right? It's an idea that I need some sort of like energetic fence or wall to keep evil out. But you are the embodiment of all evil and all benevolence, okay? You're the embodiment of all. So if you're the embodiment of all, how are you going to build a fence around yourself? How are you going to build a fence around that which is all that you are? Be a mistake. It takes time to develop safety and security as a human being who is, it's almost like our natural instinct is to be afraid. It takes a lot of time to develop the ability to not be afraid. That is a hard flipping thing to develop. And once I realized that there's no such thing as permission, because I was constantly experiencing what felt like overstepping of one's grounds between extraterrestrials, spirits, all kinds of stuff. But I didn't blame them for finding a way to communicate with me. And I didn't blame them for the way that they were, the way that they expressed themselves. I had to take ownership of that conversation and what it is that I want to get out of this experience. Because it's not what they want to get out of this experience, it's what I want to get out of this experience. So if I don't want anything to do with you, then I send you away. That's how powerful you become when you start to understand how to work with the mastery of yourself and the power of your own soul. And when you're not afraid of the spectrum of all that is good and all that is evil, which is you. Once you realize that you are all good and all evil, when you realize that that is you, then don't be afraid of yourself and don't be afraid of others. And definitely don't have to be afraid of anything in the energy world. There's literally nothing in the energy world that challenges me. That I do find challenging is being human. And all the spectrum of feelings that come with it, and all the ways that we have to take each and every day one step at a time, and how we learn from our past, how we hold on to it, and the courage to let it go. I find these things to be beautifully enriching. And to watch myself go through all of this, because I'm constantly in a state of being my individual self, but being an observer self. So I always have 4 pairs of eyes, basically. I have my human eyes that are feeling, thinking, sensing, hearing, all this stuff. And it's an emotional thing. It's a thought-based thing. It's a heart level thing. It's an intuition thing. It's a physical thing. There's so much that I'm translating just as a human being. They also have these observer eyes that are watching me process all of this and are part of the self-discovery process of who I am. And that helps me to master being human. And then what I share here is what I've learned. And then you guys get to do what you want with it. I'm not force feeding you my almighty divine truth. I'm just sharing my experience, and then you guys get to decide what it means to you, and then you go wherever you go with it, right? So that's kind of reminds me of this, because we have the freedom to go wherever we want to go. We have the freedom to look at whatever we want to look at. We have the freedom to say whatever we want to say. And I find the most incredible souls are the ones that take the time to ask themselves, is that the right thing to say? How is that going to make that other person feel? Do I need to hurt their feelings? Is the only way for them to hear the truth? And so we are in these weird pickles on what's the right path, what's the right decision to make. And sometimes it takes months to make a decision because we care so much. And that's us giving ourselves permission to care, permission to express ourselves or not express ourselves. It takes a lot of courage to be human. So, all right. Let's see what he says next. This is pretty interesting. He asked me, how do I fix this crystal ball? The crystal ball represents Earth, though, as at the same time there's a parallel, okay? And so how do I fix Earth, basically the pain and suffering here that is a part of our Earth life, okay? And he's asking me to think about it. He's asking me to think about it. He's not telling me what he thinks. And then I just bow down to Lord Hanuman as the almighty, voice of divine truth. And he is asking me to explore my own divine truth and what I think. This is important. What do you guys think? How do we fix Earth? What do you think? Because we're the ones that are here. Lord Hanuman is just eyes in the sky. He's just flowing through us, and he's the whisper on the wind. We're either going to work with him or we're not, but we're the ones animating these bodies here. Give ourselves full credit. So what are you going to do? What does this mean to you? You know what I mean? And so what is your answer to this? So I'm just going to take a moment. I'm going to see what comes to me about it. And I spent some time touching the crystal. It doesn't make me sad. I actually stand to do this because it's so big. It's a big crystal. And I touch this broken part of it. And I tell him instantly, I would have bought this crystal out of a store any day. Like, I find it fascinating, intriguing. I like the crack in it. I say I wouldn't fix anything about it. I think it's beautiful just the way that it is. And then he shows me planet Earth and he says, is that how you feel about Earth? And I immediately would say, yes, I know that's how I feel about Earth. That's why I keep coming here, because I'm not focusing on what's wrong. I do, yes. I'm curious, yes, but I'm part of the light that's born here. I'm part of the gift and the blessing of having a lifetime here, you know? And it's hard to be human, and that's what makes it beautiful. You know what I mean? Like, so it makes it beautiful, and so it makes this crystal beautiful. But let me just take a moment, and I want to see if it's different when I just look at the sphere of planet Earth. I'm just looking at planet Earth right now and exploring. Is it the same? Do I have the same answer? It's slightly different. There's something about the crystal is whole. It reminds me of wholeness. I like it just the way it is. I don't feel like it needs fixing. I like it. It has a personality. But when I touch the earth and I explore all the emotions that I felt, the earth isn't a crystal ball. It's work in progress. A crystal ball is something of stillness, is something of a magic in its own vibration. The earth is work in progress. It's always growing, expanding, changing. This crystal is, I guess, set in stone. You know, there's something sort of solid about it, complete in and of itself about it. The earth is growing and expanding, so there's a like a little bit of variation here. And I say I will take care of this earth, not because I can take care of the whole planet, but I can do kind things. You know, my arms only stretch so far. You know, like I can only do so much. So I'll be kind, right? I'll be courteous. I'll continue to do and be a representation of the type of human being I admire, and I'll be that. And that's how I can nurture this planet with my own starlight, you know, with my own love, with my own soul. I can't fix the whole planet. Maybe I might be able to one day. Maybe I'll have more of a spectrum of visibility, more capacity. I'm not sure. Some things are, everything's in the balance, okay? So as far as I can reach at this time is as best as I can do. And I can't figure out how to do better than this. So this is the best that I can do, and I can love myself for that. And then I can be loved for that, you know? And I can take ownership that I am authentically and honestly and lovingly so that which I am in order to make it a better world. And what is a better world? A world where we care, okay? Where we're trying our best from the bottom of our heart, where we're learning skills of mastery because we care. I'm going to learn how to speak with love instead of speak with anger. I'm going to learn how to forgive. And I'm going to learn how to better myself instead of, falling into depression and never leaving my room, okay? So these are the skills of mastery. Is I'm going to get out of bed and embrace the day. I'm going to... And it's as simple as, you know, sometimes we want to better ourselves in ways like I want to treat my body better. I want to take a walk and I want to eat right. So we are learning how to master balance. You know what I mean? Master balance from the level of the human, the feet on the ground, going through the human experience that's vulnerable to balance. Okay. And so that's mastery. Again, Lord Hanuman is really representing mastery, a supportive consciousness for any of us who are making a conscious effort to choose to master something. And also to choose to understand some of these concepts like permission or trust in yourself and what creates the leader and the slave, like concepts of what creates balance and what helps the earth to heal. Understanding these things because we chose to take the time to investigate our feelings about it, our thoughts about it. That's what wisdom is, you know? All right. So that's what I got. That's what I have. This was so beautiful. I really liked talking to him. I'm definitely curious to know what he thinks about other things. I'm definitely going to be having more conversations with him because he's presenting some interesting ideas that are sparking some thoughts and some feelings. And that's what I absolutely love about what I do is it's like a new TV show every day, and it just comes from inside myself, and I get to share it with all you guys, and then you get to decide what it means to you, and it's just what I'm meant to do, you know what I mean? This is where I'm meant to be, what I'm meant to do. So thank you all so much for watching, listening in. If you have a recommendation, put it in the comments. I'd love to hear if you have a question, recommendation, so we can expand our explorations together, get some answers and perspective on things that might, help each other out. So yeah, thank you all for watching. If any of you are interested in having me take a look at something for you through a distance psychic wisdom energy healing session, you can book a session at my website at abbeynormalswisdomquest.com. All right, have a great day, everybody.